lead, AP, B, D, and C. Carrie is an asset manager with the Colorado Division of Housing, and in this role has served the Northeast and Metro Denver area regions for Colorado since January 2011. She holds a Master of Architecture and Master in Urban Design from the University of Colorado in Denver. She is originally from Santa Rosa, California, where she worked in affordable housing before relocating to Denver. Carrie will discuss some of the states. She works for the state of Colorado. She's going to talk about the funding and the resources that may be available to start implementing the kinds of programs we've been talking about. So she's going to talk about the vital public initiatives that they are undertaking for decent, affordable, and sustainable housing for Colorado's families. Carrie.
It's just like architecture school. I always had to go last, so I'd be nervous the whole time. Okay. And I'm going to talk about money. Very quickly, I'll tell you what the Colorado Division of Housing does. We were created in 1970, and we provide funding from a variety of sources, federal and state, and we to developers to build affordable housing. We don't actually build anything ourselves. We typically consider ourselves a gap funder, providing grants or low-interest loans that are kind of the final piece of the puzzle for financing of affordable development. We're also a housing authority and provide Section 8 rental assistance vouchers through local housing authorities statewide, and we're a building department. Our code section certifies all factory-built structures assembled or shipped into Colorado and has jurisdiction in sparsely populated areas where counties don't have their own building codes. Blake had asked me to talk about how affordable housing strengthens neighborhoods, and I've expanded that a bit. I'm going to talk about how it strengthens our community. So to satisfy the architect's appetite for formal interventions, I'm going to talk about the Neighborhood Stabilization Program and a particularly successful project down in Pueblo. And then something we've been working on and will continue to work on is really putting hard numbers and benefits to the community in terms of saving money to strengthen the social safety net. So talk about how investments in affordable housing can really pay off. And then the last thing I'll talk about is a really great program that's breaking the cycle of poverty for some of our most vulnerable children in the state. So the Neighborhood Stabilization Program was created as a result of the foreclosure crisis to address how that was impacting our neighborhoods. Funds are awarded to governments and nonprofits to direct towards vacant, foreclosed, and abandoned properties. Many of these are single-family homes, but it's all multifamily properties are also eligible. Vacant, undeveloped, or not currently developed land is eligible as well. This was a lot of money for us. $37.9 million in round one is a lot more than we get from any other program. Typically, our biggest program for affordable housing is the home program, and that we get about $7 million annually. And that one just got a huge cut due to largely to some unkind press in the Washington Post on some problems in other areas of the country with that program, not us. One thing about NSP is it requires a little bit of a shift in thought of how typical development works. Normally, you'd have a fix and flip situation with a foreclosed property where a developer might come in, invest as little as possible into the property to extract the maximum sales price that they could. And NSP actually anticipates that you'll invest more money into the property than its ultimate appraised value when you're finished with it. And so this way you're kind of investing money and leaving it in the neighborhood as opposed to extracting money from the neighborhood. Okay. So the project I'm going to talk about is a multi-building, 16-unit multi-family historic property in Pueblo. At the time of purchase, it was bank-owned and vacant of legal occupants. The most recent users indulged in at least the use of methamphetamines. When it was tested, the levels were so high it was impossible to determine if it was just a meth den or whether meth was actually manufactured there. So as you can see, it was in pretty bad shape. The city of Pueblo used the NSP funds, kind of their share of the state allocation, to purchase and rehabilitate the buildings, and they also invested their own home and CDBG funds from their entitlements. So we invested $1.8 million in NSP, and the total project budget was just over $2.5 million. So this is during rehab. They had scraped the landscaping and resurfaced the exterior of the building. These were historic properties in the state